East African bloc seems to be going through some fairly tough run at this moment in time. And this is mainly because of some policy stances that are interpreted to be unfriendly to the spirit of building one bloc and one federation, East Africa. Of late, we've seen South Sudan banning, the export of some of Ugandan grain into that market, citing quality issues. DRC has also come up with, policy stances that are limiting the movement of people and goods across its borders. Kenya is also following suit, recently announcing a requirement for East Africans that are planning to visit that country, to have met certain, requirements. Now, the icing is the decision by Tanzania to ban all Kenya Airways flights into that country, reciprocating another position or action taken by the Kenyans, limiting, the flight movement of Air Tanzania into that market. Now, the big question here is, where does that leave the political federation, the East African Common Market, and all these other good things that we've been talking about the East African community? We'll be discussing that and more in our subsequent shows. It is Money and Markets. Welcome to the show. First off, fuel is a very important ingredient in the production process. It is actually the oil that runs an economy. Now, today we're trying to find out what are the dynamics that are driving the fuel prices or the pump prices. We've seen them escalating steadily over the past 6 months, and the number of questions, some coming from the business community and others coming from the users, the individual households. All right, Dan, it's nice to have you on the show, Money and Markets. Once again, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's a great pleasure.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's happening in the, generally speaking, your sector of oil in Uganda?
That's a very, very huge, it's a big question. I don't know, a lot is happening.
Especially here locally, I know that we've had discussions about the pump prices being where they are.
You see, I cannot, as far as fuel is concerned, you cannot localize it. It's not a local issue. Because number one, we are not yet producing our own fuel. The prices haven't, from the time we talked, they slightly came down, but they're on the rise again. And we don't foresee, I don't foresee in the foreseeable future prices coming down considerably because of a number of global issues that are happening. The last time we were here, we talked about the Ukraine war. The economy had the world economies had opened after COVID, but many other things have come into play. Of course, the oil-producing countries, OPEC, they are still controlling production. As long as production is low, the demand remains high and the prices remain high. It's one of the reasons. But of course, there are global issues that are affecting us again, that are putting the oil market in a jittery mode. For example, you know what's happening right now, the conflict in the Middle East, the Israeli conflict with the Palestinians, and then other players that have come into play. You know what's happening in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthis are attacking ships that are linked to America, Britain, or having a relationship with Israelis. Just the other day, a Russian a tanker that was carrying Russian oil, it was also attacked, which was a bit strange. But so, a lot of fuel comes generally from the Middle East. So with those dynamics, and now there are many things that are at play right now. For example, if one is to pass through that Gulf of Aden in the Mediterranean Sea, one thing that has happened right now is even insurance costs are increasing. That's one. Two, most shippers don't want to risk their tankers, so they are diverting a longer distance. For example, if they are going to Europe, they have to use through South Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, and go to Europe. So that's also transport costs go high. So all those things at play make us think that prices are not about to come down.
I hear you.
And
that's how we are affected here.
That's how we end up being affected here. As long as world prices remain up, we don't foresee prices coming down considerably, no. And also the conflict, even the way you're looking at it, it could even widen. For example, America is accusing the Iranians, and if there was an attack on Iranians, Iran would respond.
I hear you, because actually I was going to ask you about your projections, because we are just beginning 2024.
Yes.
And of course we know fuel is a key ingredient, you know, in production, and definitely running the economy.
Yes.
Where you see it sitting as, you know, looking at a lot of dynamics, both local and global, in terms of prices.
I cannot stand here for sure and say it will be this and this price. But what I can assure you, and with a great certainty, prices are not coming down in the foreseeable future. At least the way I'm seeing things, June will still be climbing up, or will be where we are right now. That's that's what I'm seeing.
I hear you.
Yes.
What advice would you give, you know, a person who is in business today?
Yes.
Given these realities, what would be the best way to actually move or trade their journey in business, given those dynamics?
I think if someone was signing a contract today and is in transportation, you cannot, with certainty, it's something I think should be left open or negotiated. You cannot say, you cannot do your projections based on the current pump prices today. No, it is, the dynamics are still, there's a lot still out there. You cannot stand and say, my projection for transportation, for fuel, I'm projecting to do transportation at this cost, and fuel, and you ignore and you certain that fuel will be costing this amount at this amount. It is something that should be negotiated and given a wider allowance. Otherwise, people can end up burning their hands, their fingers. Yes.
I get you.
Yes.
Now, moving on. Of course, we've been having this discussion about, you know, Uganda importing its fuel products directly.
Yes.
And cutting out, you know, the middlemen from Kenya. Help us understand that discussion. First of all, I know we've had a number of reports about it, but just, you know, for purposes of our viewers, what exactly is going on, you know, in this interface?
The best people to discuss this with certainty would be people of Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, or the Ministry of Energy of Uganda. Yes. Me, I'm in the private sector, but this is what we know so far. We were informed, it should have started somewhere in November, that we are no longer going to import through Kenyan companies. Because to import through Kenya, you need to have a registered company in Kenya. Like for example, us in Mount Meru, we have a sister company that we import through. So does other players in this market. You cannot come from here and say you are registered in Uganda and pick fuel from there. And that is what the people in government have been calling middlemen. And those are the people they intended to cut. Everything was lined up to start, and because of the good relationship that Uganda and Kenya enjoy, but has not come to be. You know, people, some elements in Kenya have decided to go to court and say, Uganda National Oil Company, which was going to import for the whole of Ugandan market, shouldn't be given the licenses. They have given their reasons. I was reading Kenyan newspapers, I think, the Daily Nation, the Nation, and they are saying between October to end of December, because some players here, including us, have diverted some of our volumes to Tanzania. They've lost over $200 million. That's a huge, it's huge. So I think it's more to do with economics and people wanting to benefit, the Kenyans wanting to benefit from us by still enjoying that middleman margin, the margin they have been enjoying. So when we cut them out, that's why they are fighting tooth and nail to ensure that this thing does not materialize.
Now, you talk about the Tanzanian route.
Yes.
As a player, how feasible is it? How prepared is Tanzania?
It's very feasible because most of major players, including us, had even before started importing about 4 years ago, had started utilizing the Tanzanian route. Then Kenya came on board and gave us incentives then we left Tanzania because there is that fight between the Mombasa port and the Dar es Salaam port. They gave us incentives. We moved back to Kenya, but along the way the incentives have been reducing and reducing and reducing. Yes, it's feasible, and if other things are considered, it will be good. For example, right now, if I imported diesel from Tanzania, it is still slightly cheaper than importing diesel from Kenya because of different things. The premiums are different. The premiums are different. But also Tanzania has its bottlenecks. The journey from here to Tanzania is over 1,000 kilometers. But here, Kenya, they would pump fuel. It comes to Kisumu, and I go and pick fuel from Kisumu. That will take me a day. But now, however much you are driving so fast, it will not take less than 4 days to go to Tanzania. So that's also something to worry about. Also, the cost of transportation. Yes. Well, if I go to Mombasa with my trucks to pick fuel, it will cost me $70 per cubic meter. Per 1,000 liters, I'll pay $70. But to go to Dar es Salaam, it increases by $40 per cubic meter.
Great. Let's move to Mountain Meru as a company.
Yes.
What do we have? What do you have, for Ugandans this year?
Well, we are expanding. We're one of the fastest growing companies in this country. Of course, we are like everybody else who are affected by COVID. But yes, we are soon putting up a gas plant. It's coming up, and we will continue to expand in our retail network. And the beauty with Mount Meru as well, we also have our own trucks. We are transporters. We are into logistics. I think everyone has seen trucks branded Meru. So these carry fuel and the aluminium tankers. And we are among the very few people that have aluminium tankers. Aluminium tankers, it means they carry much more volumes. And also, aluminium is not corrosive. It does not. It's good for machinery. If you transport through our trucks, they are good for machinery. They will not have those particles like the other metals. So it's clean. It does not spoil machinery. So our fuel is always good.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you.